Television has always had the look.
I said, I'm a young housewife. I wear capri pants.
From Mary to the Bradys, ordinary styles become extraordinary fashion.
Polyester was king.
Greg Brady was a total stud. I think guys wanted to be him, and girls had a big crush on him.
TV has always been first with fashion fads. From the Farrah to the Rachel.
Why am I getting noticed for my haircut?
Wow, you want to dress like me? How great.
From Three's Company to MTV, sexy sirens have inspired our styles.
You must be my lucky star.
I had no idea that the way I dressed was going to influence people.
With the help of legendary designer Bob Mackie, Cher shocked the nation.
He made people realize I was a girl.
Primetime soaps have launched the hottest designs of their times.
We sold thousands of dollars worth of garments around the world.
The name Dynasty at that time could sell almost anything.
It was phenomenal because you walk in and everybody's Crockett and Tubbs.
From Miami Vice to Beverly Hills, cool clothes became hot property.
Beverly Hills 90210 became the fashion Bible for the young.
Now, when television hemlines are more important than plot lines, Inside TV Land slips into style and fashion. Forget Paris. Forget Milan. Forget Vogue. To learn what's in style, just turn on your TV set.
The thing about fashion now is you can literally watch it 24/7 on television if you're into it.
Whether we criticize it, whether we agree with it, we're fascinated. So then you go in your closet and you go, wait a minute, this purse and these shoes, and then they do it, so why don't I do it?
It's really, really what the audience is looking for, especially if you have women in your show and great women and everything. They want to see them dressed up. They want to learn from style and fashion.
Right now, major designers rely on television not just to promote their clothes, but also to promote all the accessories, the sunglasses, the perfumes, the shoes, the pantyhose, all of that.
The fashion designs in prime time have offered viewers an escape to a more glamorous life. In the days when radio was king, people had to go to the movies to see what the stars were wearing. When television took off in the late 40s, however, the fashion conscious didn't have to leave their living rooms. At first, TV style was prim and proper.
Indoors, our weather's always perfectly comfortable.
And that's because we have year-round gas air conditioning at our house.
TV couples like Ozzie and Harriet and Lucy and Desi set 50s style trends. From the moment I Love Lucy debuted in 1951, Lucille Ball became one of the medium's first fashion stars. Style came naturally to Lucy, who began her career as a model.
I was wearing the Joan Bennett clothes for Hattie Carnegie. I was a model at Hattie Carnegie's then. Good. Not only worked at that job, but I worked nights as a photographer's model or a model for painters, anything to just make an extra buck.
From 1953 to 61, fashion-conscious TV fans feasted on the Loretta Young Show. Each episode featured a new designer dress.
And Loretta Young coming twirling through those doors, that was it.
What does the word home mean to you?
What is it, Wally?
Another fashion craze was accidentally inspired by the hit sitcom Leave It to Beaver.
You might forget them.
When the show debuted in 1957, designers used a string of pearls to hide a shadow caused by a hollow spot on star Barbara Billingsley's neck.
That is the gospel truth. Not because I was cleaning the house and vacuuming in pearls.
Good evening, dear.
Sometimes it's the mistakes that cause the sensations, and then afterwards a trend is born.
I picked up your shoes at the shoemaker's for you.
June Cleaver's high heels were also practical.
High heels were because the boys grew. I had to be taller. I wore flats in the beginning.
Hey, Mom, don't your feet get cold with the heels and the toes out of the shoes?
Well, sometimes, but it's the latest style.
Yeah. I guess it being the style is more important than being comfortable, huh?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Before long, housewives from Sarasota to Seattle were sporting pearls and high heels. But while housewives were dressing up, their children were loosening up. Rock and roll was on the rise, and music shows like American Bandstand got teenagers bopping in bobby socks and poodle skirts.
You would watch these shows and say, I'm gonna hook up a look like that when I go out Saturday night.
Teens also dressed like the king. Elvis Presley was a fixture on TV variety shows, giving America a glimpse of his pompadour hair and tight pants. But it wasn't just television entertainers who began style trends. Nightly news shows opened up a new world of influences.
I just think that everything in the White House should be the best.
Thanks to television, Jacqueline Kennedy wasn't just the first lady of the nation. She was also the first lady of fashion.
Just as long as it's the best.
Prior to television, we would have never known about Jackie. We would have seen a photograph here and there in the newspapers, but certainly not as much coverage as television managed to give her.
Jacqueline Kennedy was the first person who made American women think about style.
Simple and stylish, and she knew who she was.
She influenced all of us.
Jackie dazzled the world when she traveled overseas.
Jackie in Paris was a whole story in itself. The American president's wife was the best dressed thing France had ever seen.
I am the man who accompanied Jacqueline Kennedy to Paris.
Jackie's influence was obvious from the day her husband John became president in January of '61.
Jackie popularized the pillbox hat simply by wearing it. She wore it for the inauguration. That was it. That started it.
My God, somebody must have made millions copying that hat.
Jackie's hats were a hit, but every inch of her wardrobe caused a commotion.
Her pearls, the kerchief she tied under her chin, the big sunglasses. Nobody had done that before. Capri pants, little sandals. I mean, everything that woman did was perfection.
If you knew the number of letters I received daily from women who wrote, my husband and everyone else says I look exactly like you, Mrs. Kennedy.
Hi, Raj. Hi, having a good time?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. The best party we've ever been to.
Mary Tyler Moore obviously copied Jackie's look on her show.
Oh, we should go out formal every night. Oh, how was Richie?
Not long after Jack and Jackie Kennedy moved into the White House, the Dick Van Dyke Show debuted on television. Mary Tyler Moore and Dick Van Dyke quickly became TV's first couple.
It was written about even then that Mary and Dick were the Kennedys of the television.
One of the things that I was determined to have a say in was how Laura dressed.
While Jackie Kennedy made capri pants fashionable, Mary Tyler Moore made them practical.
Up until that time of the Dick Van Dyke Show, housewives on comedies wore dresses and high heels. I said, I'm a young housewife. I know what I wear. I wear pants, capri pants.
She wanted to wear them, and the sponsors and the network, whoever it was, the advertising agencies, no, you know, it's not, most housewives in the country don't wear pants. But she does. She's a young, we used to fight about it.
Of course, I thought the capri pants looked fantastic, and so did everybody else.
Mary Tyler Moore took a chance with her pants, and the capri style became a staple for women's wardrobes.
That's goodbye.
In February 1964, American men got a makeover when the Beatles brought their long locks from Liverpool to the Ed Sullivan Show.
I remembered having a long fight with my then boss, the editor of Mademoiselle, because I wanted to do a story on those haircuts. And she kept saying, oh, it's just too revolutionary, too crazy.
The Beatles, I mean, there was like, I mean, what revolution this was. When you look at it now, it seems so short, but back then it seems so long, but I loved it.
Well, it seems sort of like Beatlemania to me.
The Beatles arrived, the whole mod look from England happened, skirts started getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
A fashion revolution had begun in America, and that revolution would be televised. Coming up, sharing it all.
Cher she was so lean and so toned. We got away with murder because of that.
And later, a show of big shoulders.
I've always worn shoulder pads because I think it's a great look.
When we go back inside style and fashion on Inside TV Land. Not long after the Beatles brought their mop tops to the United States in 1964, America's youth began letting its hair down and raising its hemlines.
Mature women didn't quite know how to dress because all of a sudden they go to a department store and all the skirts were short and there were boots and there were the whole thing.
The new fashion decree frees the knees for expression and, as you can see, for observation, too.
By the late 60s, the free-spirited hippie movement was not only changing how America thought, it also changed how the country dressed.
The hippies made fashion their own, with long skirts, peasant blouses, fringe bags, so it was a completely different mood.
That mood was captured on the Mod Squad. Produced by Aaron Spelling in 1968, the Mod Squad was one of the first TV series to get hip to the hippie look.
They had to masquerade as cops, so we dressed them like kids dressed on the street, and the television wasn't doing that at that time.
Sure gave Rick a good story, didn't
it? It redefined the word mod, let me put it that way.
The clothes were cool, but it was Clarence Williams' hairstyle that was really radical.
Did she admit it? No.
Clarence's afro, I really thought it was beautiful. I don't know if this is hair. It was beautiful, and it was soft.
Link from Mod Squad, I think he was sort of important for Big Afro, the blown-out afro.
Clarence Williams III wasn't the only entertainer popularizing the afro on TV.
The Jackson 5 burst onto the scene and immediately achieved mainstream popularity. There's not one guy with an afro, there are 5.
All the little jackets and all the little spangles and, you know, like sequin coats. And it was a big influence, I think, on the younger generation.
Meanwhile, suburban teenagers across the country were identifying with the 6 offspring of a lovely lady and a man named Brady.
I think the Brady Bunch was the first time when kids really showed high fashion on TV. Suddenly, kids everywhere really wanted to follow what the Brady Bunch kids were wearing.
They'd have plaids and paisleys and the stripes and things going in different directions. And of course, the collars had been elongated. Polyester was king.
Those plaids and stripes and short skirts, long skirts, big wide pants. Majorie Hine looked like the state of Kansas.
Brady mom Florence Henderson started a trend for grown-up girls.
I think that every single woman wanted to have Carol Brady's hair.
It was the ultimate in shag. It was quite unbelievable.
She came upon this kind of a shag flip. It started appearing all over the country, and I thought that was wild.
Carol Brady became a trendsetter for housewives.
You know, I don't like to make rash judgments, but you're a nut.
But from 66 to 71, single girls found a role model in that girl, Marlo Thomas.
Thank heavens you are a child. Otherwise, you'd be a very dangerous woman.
Oh, yes, yes. That's what I'd love to be, a dangerous woman.
That girl debuted the same year the National Organization for Women was founded. Playing an independent, fashionable female made Marlo a star.
Certainly hope you two are satisfied.
I was kind of shocked that there were so many of me's out there. I was getting like 2,500 letters a week saying, yes, 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 this is just what I think. It was a matter, I think, of just the most perfect timing.
Marlo Thomas presented a smart, sexy image for women. Then,
I can start and iron 2 dozen shirts before you can count from 1 to 9.
a brash brunette beauty broke down TV's fashion barriers.
Cher gave us fashion. That was a serious fashion diva. I mean, Cher was really someone who took fashion to the next level.
I'll say it again.
There wasn't a woman in the world who didn't want to look like Cher.
From 1971 to 74, Cher and husband Sonny Bono starred in a CBS variety series. In 1975, she went solo with her own show. Cher exposed a new era of TV fashion.
You've heard the saying about what you see is what you get. Well, in this dress, what you think you see is more than what I've got.
We saw her legs, we saw her navel, we saw her belly button, we saw her incredible midriff, we saw her shoulders, her underarms, her back.
Legendary designer Bob Mackie shared Cher's passion for fashion. Mackie's costumes often stole the show.
From the beginning, from when we first started the Sonny and Cher show, he made people go, oh, she's a girl.
The thing about Cher was she was so lean and so toned and had such a beautiful body that nothing ever looked really vulgar. We got away with murder because of that.
Cher's stage resembled a fashion runway.
She could have up to 20-some changes in that show. Cher had so many changes every week that we just barely got them finished.
Bob Mackie was also the designer for the Carol Burnett Show, whose star didn't quite measure up to Cher.
She's built. She is. I don't know if you've noticed. You know, she always puts herself down.
How can you not notice with those outfits she wears?
No, but sometimes she, like, says she's not, but she's, yeah.
She's built.
Yeah.
I just read.
Bob Mackie's TV costumes inspired serious fashion trends for American women.
All of a sudden, fashion changed greatly. There were a lot of peekaboo holes and bias cuts, and all those things were very popular.
Bob Mackie's approach to glamour had an enormous influence on evening wear. It wasn't hippie, it was outright glamour.
Few shows made a more glamorous impact than the 1976 debut of Charlie's Angels.
Bye, Angels.
Goodbye, Charlie. Farrah and Jacqueline were much more into clothes than I was.
Well, I was hoping I would find something a little more interesting to look at than just fashion.
Producer Aaron Spelling wanted his female private eyes to be known for their costumes as well as their cases.
We wore all the latest clothes that were on Rodeo Drive. They knew that women wanted to see fashion. They wanted to see, you know, the latest shoes, the latest bell-bottoms.
Designer Nolan Miller found the show's actresses enthusiastic about their wardrobe.
The Charlie's Angels shopping trips are legendary in Beverly Hills. They all had their favorite stores, and every Monday morning I would get a list. I used to regret that they had Saturdays free and didn't have to work.
Nolan Miller's wardrobe said as much about the original Angels, Kate Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, and Jacqueline Smith, as the script did.
Watch yourselves, Angels.
He gave each girl their individual look. Kate was very tailored, Farrah was flamboyant and very sexy, and mine was sort of classic and feminine. But he knew how to bring all the looks together and make them blend.
Oh, it's beautiful.
When Cheryl Ladd joined the cast, Aaron Spelling knew she'd be a big hit in a bikini.
We liked the way I looked in a bikini, and then there was long periods of time in which I didn't really need to have a bathing suit on, that somehow I had a bathing suit on.
They each had their own look, but one angel became famous for her heavenly hair.
See, the greatest thing about the Farrah was it was the first haircut on somebody famous that was long, and it looked good on everybody.
It's funny, I would be standing with some people or sitting, and they would say, look at that girl, she's doing her hair just like you.
50% of the women in America wanted to look like Farrah Fawcett.
Every woman should dream of having her hair.
I can see why people wanted it. It was fresh and natural and sexy and all those things.
Janet, Jack, I'd like you to meet,
The Farrah wasn't the only famous hairstyle on TV.
You know each other?
When Three's Company hit the air in '77, Suzanne Summers' locks became a hot look.
Chrissy, could I speak to you for...
But Summers' signature ponytail was another case of television style by accident.
The woman who was coloring my hair was on the phone with Rod Stewart and jabbering away, and all of a sudden I saw her look at me and say the words, oops. And she had left it on too long, and there was a huge bald spot on this side right here.
The stylist came up with a quick fix.
The first year, this hair is pulled over, you know, like a guy who's losing his hair, and they comb it over. We pulled it over to hide the bald spot, and that's how the first ponytail came.
Summers' hair wasn't the only thing turning heads. Her trademark tight outfits also caught everybody's attention.
Hey, you guys are really fast!
It did start a look, a fashion, you know, little girls in short shorts and pastel colors and the 1 or 2 ponytails. It was definitely a look. It was flattering. Wow, you want to dress like me, huh? How great.
Coming up, America gets its MTV.
MTV was invaluable in telling a whole sort of generation of kids that it's okay to be a little insane with your fashion, just be unique.
And later, TV fashion has an expensive new zip code.
90210 was the first time you really saw high fashion, wealthy kids flaunting it.
When we go back inside style and fashion on Inside TV Land.
I did not take the oath I've just taken with the intention of presiding over the dissolution of the world's strongest economy.
Ronald Reagan's pro-business policies helped elect him president in 1980. And the decade to come would be a celebration of big business and big bucks.
It was the Reagan era. Everything was bigger than, prettier than. It was huge. The fashion epitomized the 80s. Totally over the top, bigger in every way.
The primetime soap opera Dallas showcased the greed, glitz, and glamour of the 1980s. Dallas featured a feuding family of Texas millionaires, the Ewings.
The Ewings were sort of bigger than life. They have nice cars, the best clothes, the best jewelry. They were the 80s.
The Dallas designers made sure star Linda Gray was dressed for success on every occasion.
They would always look at the script and say, well, this she needs a power suit. This she needs a flirtatious suit, something very soft and feminine for a bedroom scene. And God knows I was in several of those.
How about a Christmas kiss for your mother, darling?
No show captured the opulent 80s like Dynasty.
Merry Christmas, Mummy. Oh, Merry Christmas, darling.
Dynasty was about excess of the 80s and about all of the things, power, greed, sex.
One of the sexiest and richest Dynasty women was Diane Carroll's Dominique Devereaux. That was clear from her first entrance on the series.
My entrance on Dynasty, it involved, you saw the luggage first, and then you saw the $40 million shoes. And they panned slowly to the desk of this very wonderful hotel, dressed to the nines. I don't think I've seen anything like that since.
I don't sleep in my clothes, nor do I sleep with them. I require one bedroom for my wardrobe and one for myself.
The man behind the high fashion hit was Aaron Spelling.
Dynasty meant a lot to me with its fashions, what it said about fashions. We really went for it, making sure that our witches and bitches were dressed differently on the show.
I'm Linda Evans, and I'd like you to meet a man who makes me look wonderful, our fashion designer on Dynasty, Nolan Miller.
Are you in a mood for some emeralds or some diamonds?
It didn't take long for Nolan Miller's wardrobe designs to start setting trends with Dynasty viewers.
The clothes, not only work the character, but they're extremely flattering and making a woman look like a woman.
The thing I liked about him the most was he never wanted to do anything to any actress that would make her look bad.
Shoulder pads were perhaps the most imitated element of Dynasty design.
Women look better with shoulder pads. It gives women some stature. It makes them, I don't know, it looks as if they're standing better.
The shoulder pads gave women a sense of power, a sense that they hadn't had before.
The shoulder pads, you know, just became absolutely ridiculous.
In Dynasty, they went a little too big.
We may have gone too far, but while we were there, I approved of it all.
Shoulder pads were big, but sales of Dynasty clothes were even bigger.
Bloomingdale's did a launch of all the Dynasty products with the fashions, and there were so many people that they had to close the store.
Gosh, wasn't there like crystal perfume? Okay, that was kind of scary.
I think the name Dynasty at that time could sell almost anything.
Oh, Daddy, thank you. It's beautiful.
Whether featuring primetime fictional royalty like the characters in Dynasty, or real royalty, television provided an upscale fashion parade for grown-ups. But when cable channel MTV went on the air in the summer of '81,
I want my MTV!
It changed the look of TV and changed how the younger generation looked.
MTV was invaluable in telling a whole sort of generation of kids that it's okay to be yourself, be a little insane with your fashion, and feel free to always turn it over and just be unique.
The fact that all the music videos suddenly became our daily or nightly fare, that influence was enormous.
It wasn't selling necessarily good taste or even good music. It was selling something colorful, something different.
MTV cranked out one fashion fad after another. Flock of Seagulls flew by in a flash.
I think that to my mother's horror, for my senior yearbook picture, I had the Flock of Seagulls hairdo.
Culture Club's Boy George blazed an androgynous fashion trail.
Just always loved the fact that Boy George so successfully sort of established the right to wear a dress.
Cyndi Lauper made shabby look chic.
I have always gotten just such a kick out of Cyndi Lauper's look. It's very costumey.
Many MTV fads faded faster than acid-wash jeans, but some of the channel's earliest icons stood out in any crowd.
Michael Jackson. We all want to be Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson had wowed TV audiences in the 60s and 70s, singing and dancing with his brothers. In the 80s, his own personal style dazzled a new generation.
These floods that he wore, these high-water pants with these white socks and these jeweled shoes, and there was nobody else who looked like this.
You could find that red jacket in something like a Kmart. You know, everybody wanted one of those.
However, few MTV artists inspired more imitators than Madonna.
I had no idea that the way I dressed was going to influence people. That just totally tripped me out, to see people dressing like me.
I get lots of attention, and I love attention.
Madonna had an enormous influence. Just the whole attitude, that sexy, tarty look, really changed women's attitudes to fashion.
My style developed from A, not having any money and just sort of dressing with found objects and stuff, and B, the whole thing that I tied in my hair. Those kind of things always happen by mistake. You can't premeditate something like that.
Madonna looked ready for a tumble on the town. In the late 80s, the Married with Children cast seemed set for a night at the tractor pull.
It was sort of trailer trash. The trashier, the better. I would go out and look for the gaudiest looking things I could find.
When Married with Children launched in 1987, Mom Peg Bundy became an unlikely role model with her high heels and cropped pants.
I would run into people, I would see them on the street, dressed like Peg. And it was just, really kind of amazing to me.
Peg Bundy should have been busted by the fashion police. Meanwhile, Miami Vice was showcasing some fashionable cops.
Someday I'm gonna be wearing threads like that.
From 1984 to 89, Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas were Miami Vice's cool cops, Crockett and Tubbs.
In the beginning, it was a little shaky, the show, and it wasn't. People didn't know what was going on because they saw the look of our show and went, "Whoa, what's this?"
Wow, the fashion, man. The fashion was just incredible. I mean, we were very fortunate to be able to dress with the best designers in the world, man.
The white suits, the cream suits, the fast cars, the light blue, the shoes without socks. It was a real player look, but it was player before there was players.
The pastel color scheme fit perfectly with the show's location.
It really came organically out of Miami. It's hot, it's all pastel, people dress for comfort and ease.
Whether it was the jackets or the 5 o'clock shadow or simply going sockless, men across America got the Miami Vice look.
I started to see it everywhere. Everybody would knock it off. I did actually see it in Sears,
All these old farts were running around without socks, and they were in these linen shirts and blazers, and they all thought they were Don Johnson. That was hilarious.
It was phenomenal because you walk in and everybody's Crockett and Tubbs.
Coming up, skirts show thighs and the ratings rise.
She looked like she was going to work to have sex.
And later, the winners are...
Valentino, Giorgio Armani. It's a Donna Karan outfit.
When we go back inside style and fashion on Inside TV Land. In the 1980s, whether it was shoulder pads or hair, bigger was better for TV style and fashion. But in the early 90s, MTV ushered in the age of grunge.
The second Kurt Cobain came on the scene dressing with grunge, everyone did it.
Rock and roll at that point was pretty stale with all like the hair glam bands and stuff, and here came something that was kind of new.
The low-cost lumberjack look from the Pacific Northwest became the emblem of an alienated Generation X.
Minimalism was necessary after all the extravagance of the 80s. That grunge look, that understated look, that look of you really don't have diamonds and you don't have gold.
Instrumental in glamorizing the grunge look, MTV also took hip-hop style from the ghetto streets and brought it to Main Street, USA.
I would say unequivocally that hip-hop has been the most important cultural factor with respect to fashion for the last few MTV generations, bar none.
You can see a DMC, you can see a LL Cool J, you can see a Slick Rick. Their style, which was so different than anything else other people were seeing, you know, made people pay attention.
It wasn't just the rappers who were getting down. So were their pants. Videos popularized the droopy drawers look, inspired by jail inmates whose belts were taken so they wouldn't harm themselves or anyone else. The look went by the initials OG.
OG, original gangster, you know, because you're gonna have no belt. You're just gonna let your pants kind of do what they do.
Hip-hop videos also prompted Damon John and several friends to launch their own clothing line.
We were out in the streets looking for a certain type of hat to wear that we saw in all these videos. The hat was so poorly constructed that we can make it ourselves.
After their hats became big sellers in '92, John and his partners founded FUBU, which means for us, by us. To promote FUBU products, the company returned to its initial inspiration by getting its clothes in music videos.
So it kind of gave us like a walking commercial. And when they saw it on TV because their favorite rapper or it was in the video, they'd want to rush to the store and find it. We only had 10 t-shirts for the first 3-4 years of business, but we kept putting them on different artists. Everybody thought we were this huge company when we only had 10 t-shirts that we kept taking to dry cleaners.
With the premiere of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in 1990, rapper Will Smith took hip-hop to network primetime. Smith's cool look made him hot property and earned him a VH1 Fashion Award in '97.
I work hard on my appearance. I think it's really important how you look, you know, because when you look good, you feel good.
Will has managed to do something most people weren't able to do. He took that ghetto thing and he brought that flavor into your home and he made you laugh.
Will had such a great sense of style and knew exactly where he wanted to go. We really ushered in a new era, a new feeling, just a whole new style to the television landscape.
Will Smith wasn't the only stylish student in Beverly Hills during the early '90s.
I find something fabulously hip. I need something fabulously sexy. Something incredible.
TV fashion pioneer and producer Aaron Spelling followed up hits like Dynasty and Charlie's Angels with Beverly Hills 90210.
Beverly Hills 90210 became the fashion Bible for the young.
I found it. Let me see.
90210 was the first time you really saw high fashion, wealthy kids flaunting it. Everyone wanted to look like them.
We didn't trust outside people to do the show. We asked the young ladies to do their own wardrobe, the men to do theirs, and they had to be very careful because they were basically rich kids, and we didn't want them to dress too rich and then chase away your other audience, and they did a great job of it.
What do you guys think?
You can never expect a show to attain any sort of success, and when it does, it's very surprising. It's also very flattering.
Producer Darren Star knew he was onto something from the first show.
I had some friends over watching it. After it was over, the girls that just had watched the show, all they could talk about were the clothes. I'm thinking, what about the rest of it, you know?
Costumer Diane Kennedy gave cast members their own unique style. Soon, the 90210 look showed up in every zip code.
In a desperate moment, I started putting colored T-shirts under Jason Priestley and Luke Perry's things. It served the show well, and it caught on the street.
cowboy boots became more popular because of Shannon wearing them. It's possible that Tori's sexy tight dresses may have started a trend that parents are mad at me for.
90210's success led to the 1992 spin-off series, Melrose Place. Melrose Place didn't become a hit until Heather Locklear joined the cast. Her short skirts raised ratings and eyebrows.
I get my clothes on the show from the wardrobe department. They pick out everything for me, and I can say yay or nay.
People wanted to suddenly be like this hot young star that came and revitalized the show.
She looked like she was going to work to have sex.
I think Melrose Place really started a fashion trend in some ways for wearing the ridiculously short mini skirts in the office.
She could be a boss, but she could still have sex on her desk.
Locklear's leggy look helped make Melrose Place a hit. Meanwhile, viewers also got a kick out of Friends, starting in the fall of 1994.
When you look at Friends and you see all the things they wear, and they're always like the latest.
Costumer Deborah McGuire realized fans loved the show from head to toe when a saleswoman urged her to buy fancier socks for the cast.
She said, yeah, well, when they have their feet up in the coffee shop on the table, we see their socks and their shoes, and suddenly I realized, oh my God, I better pay attention to every inch.
McGuire wanted the wardrobe for the 6 young Manhattan dwellers to be as upscale as possible.
It was never a reality show for us visually. You know, it was always a heightened reality show. I think that the producers would have maybe liked more jeans and more denim and more casualness, but I didn't feel like people were casual in the city. I wanted it to be a little bit more sophisticated, even though they had no money.
The clothes were stylish, but it was a hairstyle that earned Friends its fashion fame. Named after Jennifer Aniston's character, the Rachel became the most sought-after TV hairstyle since the days of Charlie's Angels.
I've heard, you know, it's the Farrah Fawcett of the 90s.
It's flattering, but you know what? There's definitely a part of you that says, why am I getting noticed for my haircut and not for my work?
The look began when Aniston's stylist, Chris McMillan, tried to even out Jennifer's bangs.
By the 3rd, 4th haircut, it really became this cool haircut. I kind of like chopped the back off one night, and these little flippy hairs, pieces started kicking out, and we were into that.
Women weren't the only ones picking up hot hair tips from television in the mid-90s. Men were copying ER star George Clooney's close-cropped Caesar cut.
I mean, one of the first one men-wise, recently, in the last few years, seems like George Clooney. We had men coming to our salons who wanted that haircut.
Men wanted to look like Clooney. But women were dressing like Ally.
I think Ally McBeal, and especially the first season, set the fashion trends by having those micro minis.
Very provocative clothes for attorneys. I don't know if I'd sit down with an attorney who was wearing some of the things they were wearing.
Soon after Ally McBeal debuted in '97, star Callista Flockhart's skirts were even shorter than Heather Locklear had dared to wear.
They barely covered the derriere at some point.
The only thing getting more attention than Flockhart's tiny dresses was her frail frame. When she showed up in a body-bearing dress at the '98 Emmys, the media weighed in.
I was worried that my career would be damaged. I have spoken with many, 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 many thin women who say, it happens to me all the time. Everybody's worried that I'm an anorexic, and I'm just plain skinny.
Like it or not, Ally McBeal and models like Kate Moss proved that in the late '90s, thin was in.
All the models that were the same as me just started working more, that weren't 5'10" or they didn't have a 34B chest. They just looked a bit different.
In the '60s and '70s, television style and fashion freedom helped to liberate female viewers. The '90s brought increasing pressure to look good at all costs.
The old saying is, you can never be too rich or too thin. And the too thin has become, the thing of this decade and ongoing.
I think that the waif look, it has a terrible influence on young girls, and not just young girls, on women in general. Women are not supposed to be sticks.
Coming up, a sexy sensation.
I was very conscious from the beginning that fashion would be a big part of Sex and the City.
There's never really been a show that's been as honest and truthful about women and their lives.
When we go back inside style and fashion on Inside TV Land. By the dawn of the 21st century, fashion fanatics had found the ultimate TV fashion parade. The annual orgy of award shows became more about best outfits than best actors.
From the MTV Awards to the Grammys to the Oscars to the Golden Globes, millions and millions and millions of viewers sit and watch these shows. And what do they talk about? Who won yesterday? No, they talk about what dress they wore.
Viewers want to hear their favorite stars answer one simple question. Who are you wearing?
Valentino, Giorgio Armani.
It's a Donna Karan outfit. Chrome Hearts vest and a Hugo Boss tux. Dolce & Gabbana.
Donatella Versace just designed this dress.
Yeah, my friend made it.
By Badly Mishka. And I'm wearing a dress by Mark Wong-Nark. And we're wearing Jules by Harry Winston.
What a star wears on the big night can quickly become the next big thing.
I put a tiara on Selma Hayek at the Oscars, and thousands and millions of little girls saw that around the world on television. For proms that year, the biggest thing was to wear a tiara.
I don't know why I was fighting it. This is gonna be fun.
Exactly what we needed. 3 single gals back on town.
The award-winning HBO series Sex and the City features 4 female fashion plates.
I think what we worry most is about producing a television show that seems to be honest, that reflects, you know, a certain group of women in a certain city.
Oh, gotcha.
I think that there's never really been a show that's been as honest and truthful about women and their lives, sexual and otherwise.
Seriously, there is not an unlimited amount of love in the world. It's rare.
Way to take the edge off a club sandwich.
Well, I'm done with great love. I'm back to great lovers.
Sex and the City's attention to attire was not accidental for executive producer Darren Star.
Well, I was very conscious from the beginning that fashion would be a big part of Sex and the City, especially since it was a show that was starring 4 female characters and women would be watching it.
Sex and the City is a great, 4 beautiful women, all looking different, great personalities, great attitudes, great hair.
Designer Patricia Field has carefully crafted the Sex and the City look.
Pat realizes how it kind of works to create almost a little bit of a fantasy.
From flowers to Manolo Blahnik shoes, anything that shows up on Sex and the City is soon selling better than ever.
Television now has the most enormous effect on fashion. The fashion designers have responded by becoming crazy about television.
Fashion fans rush to the racks to buy what they see on their TV screens, like Regis Philbin's monochromatic suits on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
It was something that really was copied because it's a very chic look, a very distinctive look.
And we're going to continue that trend so that everybody can feel and look like a million.
Young TV fans are drawn to the eclectic eccentricities of Ozzy's daughter Kelly on the MTV series The Osbournes.
I think you should stick with pink, too.
Yeah, the pink.
Kelly Osbourne's look, to me, it's great. It's totally about liberation, about being who you want to be, and just go with it, and I think it's great.
With the advent of the internet, living rooms may become more like showrooms.
I keep waiting for the time when we can watch television shows through our computers and then click on the outfit that Jennifer Aniston is wearing and have it delivered to our box by Federal Express the next day in your size and color.
That kind of impulse buying, which is really what fashion is all about, I think is a thing of the future.
Internet or not, television and fashion will continue to mix and match. From June Cleaver to Carrie Bradshaw, TV characters and their styles have become part of the fabric of our lives.
I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt, so sexy it hurts. I'm too sexy for
All right, come on now. I said, come on now. I said,
and I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. No way I'm disco dancing.